What is a takt plan? Why would we use it? What is this thing? Why do I need it? When would I need it? Do I need it? All of these questions we're going to answer today in this video. And I hope you're sitting down because I'm about to make a bold statement. Takt planning is the basis of construction scheduling. So you're going to want to watch this video. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how long has takt planning been around? What are some projects that I would recognize or that you would recognize that have been built with takt plans? Why is takt planning really good when it comes to teaming? I'm going to give you some key tips there. And why would I need to learn it now? What's the motivation? Or you? No, for that matter, I'm actually talking to you. Why would you want to know about this? What's the motivation? So by the end of this video, I want you to be interested or at least have a high-level understanding of what takt is. All right, so let's get right into this. This is some cool stuff. We have lots of videos that we're going to link you to, by the way, but let me explain this to you passionately right here in a couple of minutes, okay? So takt is an older German word for beat or rhythm. So the beat, that's on a takt time. So the amount of space between those beats, that's on a takt time, okay? So takt is a German word for beat or rhythm. And here's what it basically communicates, is that on a schedule, there is a certain amount of work that happens by location on a drum beat. So let's talk about that right now. So this is really cool stuff. I totally geek out when I see stuff like this. But schedules never really should have been shown with time by activity. That really doesn't tell us anything. It doesn't allow us to visualize things, and it doesn't really help us to manage a construction project on a schedule. And I'll tell you why. When you think about dimensions, what are the different dimensions? Well, there's X, right? There's Y, and there's Z, okay? Those are three dimensions. What's the fourth dimension? Time. And you would know this if you had watched Interstellar. You would know this. Anyway, so this is really cool stuff. He was explaining how black holes and wormholes worked, right? So there's four dimensions, X, Y, Z, and then T for time. So four dimensions. So everything in life, like even as I look at something or look at the camera, there's X, Y, Z, and also the fourth dimension of when did I see that camera? So there's X, Y, Z, T. So that it's always the visualization of time and space. When did I see that camera where it is right now? Okay? So schedules should have always been time by space or time by zone. So the visualization of time and space, like we talked about, was time by space, or you could say L for location or Z for zone. And then the actual work that's to be done shows up in a matrix inside that schedule. So takt planning literally does this. So it puts it in the right format on a takt time, hence takt planning, by location, right? That way we know what locations the work is going from and to on that beat from area to area, right? And then it actually shows us something that's really key. And I want you to understand this, even if you have to go watch some more videos to get familiar with this. It allows us to schedule trades on a takt time by zone on a rhythm, meaning that they have flow. Meaning, and I just got to explain this real quick, meaning the trades are able to go from area to area to area to area to area on a takt time, right? And it's all shown on one page, and it protects that flow. This flow is the single most important metric in construction. If you're thinking about other lean concepts like the Toyota production system, they're lean and they're super profitable. It's a jam. Takt planning is the construction equivalent of the Toyota production system. What's flowing in the Toyota production system? The car. What's flowing in construction? The trades. So the construction and manufacturing are exactly the same. But in manufacturing, the car or the value receiving unit is moving. In construction, that's fixed, anchored down to footings. The zones are fixed. So what's moving through? The trades are moving through and flowing through. So the only difference between manufacturing and construction is what flows. So if the trades flow, we need to see that flow in the visualization of time and space. Ooh, did you get chills? I just got chills on that. So Tact planning will show you on one page that environment, right? So you'll have your start date, probably your end date, and these tact phases will show rhythmic work. So when you look, oh, this is super exciting. So instead of a critical path, each of these phases have buffers at the end. And so the path goes through the phase, buffer, through the phase, buffer. And if anything happens in that schedule, we simply eat into a buffer and we still have the same end date, and we never stack trades on top of each other and start to slide them on top of each other, because that will bring out all of the woes or the bad things that happen in the construction: trade stacking, out of sequence work, overtime, disrespecting workers, working weekends, crash landings, not being home with our families. It happens when we start to trade stack, and tact planning prevents that from happening. It's really, really cool. And so real quick, like, let's just stop for just a second. Like, do you not want to keep learning like super cool stuff like this? If you do, you got to go down there and hit that subscribe button, and then you've sealed the deal. You put a ring on the finger. We're together now. Like, we're in a relationship. Like, let's do this. Like, we hit that subscribe button because we're going to get more and more content for you like this that you're going to love. Back to the topic here at hand. Okay, so a tact plan really visualizes schedules in time and space and ensures that we have trade flow. Number one. The other thing is, you're able to visualize it and see it on one page. I heard the coolest quote the other day, that if you want to get everybody on the same page, you're going to have to see it on one page. So I just love that. How powerful is a visual communication tool that will always show you when activities are supposed to be happening and make sure that we're doing it with trade flow. Super, super cool stuff. Now, this scheduling system has been around for hundreds of years, and it's been brought into a system now by a number of experts throughout the world, right? So Janos Louis, Marco Biniger, Iris Tomaline, there's Hal Maycomer, there's a number of experts. If I didn't mention you, I apologize, but there's a lot of people that have brought these concepts together into a system. And at Lean Takt, which is one of our companies that supports customers with creating and maintaining their tact plans for construction, we've put it into a system called the Takt Production System, or TPS. Pretty clever, similar to the Toyota Production System. So this has been around for hundreds of years. They've used this for shipbuilding in Europe. They've used this for in Russia and in Poland and in Norway and in Scandinavia in general, in Germany back in the day, for not only shipbuilding, for large commercial and industrial construction projects. The Pentagon in the United States in 2002 was renovated using tact planning. Certain components of the Empire State Building were built with tact planning concepts. And so this has been around for a while, and it enables the team to work because you can see it. And again, I'm just going to anchor you back to my favorite phrase: the team is able to see as a group, know as a group, and act as a group. So even if it didn't have the other cool things that I'm about to tell you, it would still be cooler than sliced bread. Like, this is awesome stuff. Now, let me just leave you with a couple of tidbits that help you to understand why it works so well, okay? So let's say that we have a sequence, and this is represented by zone 1, and let's say we have 1 takt time, which means it's a duration, 2 takt times, 3 takt times up here at the top, right? And you have certain activities, or what are called takt wagons, right? So in zone 1, you'll have a takt wagon in each one of those takt times, and then when you get to zone 2, you'll have the same takt wagons, but they're repeated. So if this was a blue takt wagon, the first one for a specific trade, that would repeat. If this one over here was a different trade represented by red, that would repeat, and you'd be able to show it progressing diagonally down the page. Now, there's some really key concepts here. So continuity is one reason why takt works really, really well, meaning that you have flow within that zone from activity to activity to activity. So you have continuity, okay? The other thing is you have rhythm. So every takt time, you start out in a different area, and there's a rhythm to that work, meaning that that trade on a rhythm progresses from zone to zone. The third one is consistency, meaning that the work that is progressing from zone to zone, has a consistent amount of work, a consistent type of work, so we're able to do them better and better and better as we go, which means that we're constantly improving and increasing our production. All right, there's 2 or 3 last things that I want to share with you. If this line represents a series of takt wagons, so I'll just make it as one line, and you have your takt plan here, right? Every takt plan is designed with buffers. Where do you get the buffers? Well, I'm going to leave you wanting more on this one because we're going to link you to some pretty cool videos. But basically, there's a formula called Takt, and it's called Little's Law or Louis and Vinegar's Law. And so it's takt wagons plus takt zones minus 1 multiplied by the takt time equals the project duration. And the key thing here is zones and your takt time. If you either increase the number of zones you have or decrease on your schedule can actually speed up. What I mean by that is if you started out with a schedule that had 2 zones and the sequences took longer, right? And this is how it looked. Just by adding 2 more zones, instead of having this end date, you could optimize, and that's what it's called, optimizing your schedule and gain back time. You're probably wondering how that works. That's why you should go down to the description below and trace to these other videos and go watch these other videos because it explains it perfectly. But you're able to gain buffers by using this formula. Now, when you have a takt plan and you have an interruption, and you have buffers at the end, what you do is instead of moving the end date or stacking work, you just eat into those buffers. Literally, all of these activities might shift out and literally just you'll use one of those buffer days and now everybody can stay in a consistent flow. It's absolutely genius. One of the last things that I'll say is that there are 4 production laws that I'm going to invite you to learn about. And again, we got videos on this that are pretty stinking cool. But these are 4 production laws that apply to takt planning that allow takt plans to really do well in the construction industry. One is called Little's Law. And Little's Law basically says that you'll go faster if you have smaller zones. Okay? That means that if you have more zones or smaller zones, you will go faster. If you level work, right? Remember when I showed you that takt puts work in a leveled rhythm? When you level work, your production and your overall total project duration goes faster. The other thing is when you finish as you go. So when you finish as you go, that means you're finishing at the end of those zones, at the end of those sequences on that rhythm. So takt does this, it does this, it does this, and all of those are proven to make projects go faster. Second one, the law of bottlenecks. The law of bottlenecks basically says that every construction schedule will have a bottleneck in it or a slowest trade, and takt planning allows you to find it and optimize it. There's a third law called the law of variation. And what it says is that your project will extend if you have the more variation you have. Okay, so your project will extend, and so takt, because it's consistent and works on a rhythm, it reduces that variation, and so it obeys that law as well. The last one is Kingman's formula, and what it basically says is that your activities are not just what you had originally planned on, or they're not just according to their original production rate. That you may have an activity, but that activity may extend based on variation or the productivity rate of the crew. And so takt, because it pulls everything into takt wagons and allows you to analyze it, also obeys that production law. So these are mathematical and scientific production laws that I cover in these other videos, but they have been allowing production in manufacturing to increase, and right now construction productivity is declining. Why? Because we're not obeying the production laws. So how do we become like manufacturing? Guess what? We need to obey these production laws. And takt construction, takt planning obeys each and every single one of these production laws, and that's why I'm so excited about it and why I want you to learn more about it. It's absolutely phenomenal, and it enables all other production on site. Here's a prediction. Takt planning in the next 3 to 5 years will take over as the primary scheduling system in construction. And so I want you to be ahead of the game and really, on the cutting edge here, because it will serve you well. Please don't get behind the ball. Please don't be left behind. Learn about this now. We're going to link you to a Miro board. Not only is Miro like really cool, and you're going to get to learn to use that, but that Miro board is going to link you to all of the content that I explained here, and it's going to be shown in videos and blog posts and podcasts and in graphics that you're just going to love. You got to go there. Remember, go down to the description in this video now and link to that content, get started, and take your Takt journey today. On we go.